Crimson Threads, The Ballad of Blackwood Veil. Novelette by Brian E. Niskola. Narrated by Elise Reinhoff. Copyright 2025 by CompuTrader Publishing. Crimson Threads, The Ballad of Blackwood Veil. Chapter 1, The Unfurling Shadow. The fog, a sentient entity, coiled around Blackwood Veil, a town perpetually swathed in a twilight that seemed to defy the very laws of nature. It was a realm where shadows weren't mere absences of light but living, breathing things, their whispers carried on the biting, damp wind, a constant reminder of the town's hidden secrets. Detective Elara Vance, a woman whose face bore the etchings of countless sleepless nights and hard-won battles, pulled her worn trench coat tighter against the encroaching chill. The opulent Blackwood Manor, a Gothic masterpiece of gargoyles and leaded glass, stood as a dark sentinel against the perpetually grey sky, its silhouette a stark testament to the town's morbid history. Lord Valerius Blackwood, the manor's reclusive and enigmatic owner, was dead. Or, rather, what remained of him was. The official report, hastily scribbled by a constable clearly out of his depth, cited sudden cardiac arrest. But Elara, with her years of experience on the city's grimiest streets, saw the truth. A single, crimson puncture mark, a stark contrast against Valerius's pallid skin, whispered of something far more sinister than a natural death. It was a wound that spoke of a predator, a hunter that stalked its prey in the shadows. Elara felt a prickle of unease, a sense of dread that settled in her gut like a cold stone. There was an unnatural stillness about the manor, a silence that hummed with a dark, unseen energy. The local constabulary, a collection of nervous men with trembling hands and wide, fearful eyes, were clearly out of their depth. They were ill-equipped to handle the darkness that permeated Blackwood Veil. Another victim, Detective, Constable Davies murmured, his voice barely a whisper, his eyes darting towards the body. Just like the others. Others? Elara raised a skeptical eyebrow, her gaze sharp and questioning. 3 in the last month, Davies said, his voice trembling. All drained. All pale. Like they'd been bled dry. He swallowed, his gaze darting to the imposing manor. They whisper it's the old stories, the ones about the creatures in the night. Elara scoffed, a dry, humorless sound. Old stories don't leave puncture wounds, Constable. They leave bodies, and bodies tell tales. Let's focus on the facts. Inside the manor, the air was thick with the scent of dust, decay, and an underlying metallic tang that Elara recognized as the lingering aroma of blood. The grand hall, with its towering ceilings and ornate tapestries, was a macabre stage. Valerius Blackwood's body lay sprawled on the cold marble floor, his eyes wide and vacant, reflecting the flickering candlelight. Elara knelt, her fingers tracing the delicate wound on his throat. It was precise, almost surgical, a testament to the skill of the predator. No bruising, she noted, her voice low and clinical. No sign of a struggle. Whoever did this knew what they were doing, and they were fast. A sudden draft swept through the hall, extinguishing the flickering candles and plunging the room into near darkness. A collective gasp rippled through the constables, their fear palpable. Then, a soft, melodic voice, like the chime of distant bells, echoed from the shadows. He was always a fool, Valerius. A figure emerged from the darkness, a woman of ethereal beauty with eyes that shimmered like liquid silver, her skin as pale as moonlight. Her lips, a vibrant crimson, curved into a melancholic smile, a stark contrast to her sorrowful gaze. I am Seraphina, she said, her voice a silken caress, a whisper that seemed to fill the room. Valerius's companion. Chapter 2, The Whispers of the Ancients. Seraphina, despite her unsettling presence and otherworldly beauty, was surprisingly cooperative. She spoke of Valerius's reclusive nature, his growing obsession with ancient texts, and his increasing paranoia in the weeks leading up to his death. She claimed to know nothing of the murders, but her eyes, deep pools of ancient sorrow, held a depth of grief that seemed to transcend mortal experience. Elara, however, was not easily swayed by Seraphina's melancholic charm. She had learned to trust her instincts, and something about Seraphina's story felt incomplete, like a carefully crafted narrative with hidden depths. The woman's presence in the manor, her intimate knowledge of Valerius's habits and obsessions, suggested a connection that went far beyond simple companionship. The investigation led Elara to the Blackwood Library, a vast, dimly lit room that smelled of aged paper and forgotten lore. Towering shelves, reaching towards the vaulted ceiling, were filled with leather-bound books, their spines bearing titles in languages Elara didn't recognize. Valerius's obsession with the arcane was evident in every corner of the room. Ancient tomes on folklore, mythology, and forgotten histories lined the shelves, their pages filled with cryptic symbols and faded illustrations. Among the dusty volumes, Elara found a leather-bound journal, its pages filled with Valerius's frantic scribblings. He wrote of nightmares that plagued his sleep, of whispers in the night that seemed to emanate from the very walls of the manor, of a creature that stalked him in the shadows, its eyes burning with malevolent hunger. He spoke of the Crimson Thread, an ancient entity that fed on life, a predator that had haunted Blackwood Veil for centuries, a creature of legend that had somehow become terrifyingly real. The journal also mentioned a hidden chamber beneath the manor, a place where Valerius believed the creature resided, a dark sanctuary where it lurked, waiting to be unleashed. Elara, armed with a powerful flashlight and a healthy dose of skepticism, descended into the manor's labyrinthine cellars, her footsteps echoing in the oppressive silence. The air grew colder with each step, the silence heavier, pressing against her ears like a physical force. The damp stone walls, slick with moisture, were covered in a strange, phosphorescent moss that cast an eerie glow. The scent of decay was overpowering, a morbid perfume that seemed to cling to the very stones of the cellar. Elara followed a narrow passage, her footsteps echoing in the oppressive silence, her senses heightened, every creak and rustle sending a shiver down her spine. The passage opened into a circular chamber, its walls lined with strange symbols, their meaning lost to time. In the center of the room, a stone altar stood bathed in an eerie, phosphorescent glow, a light that seemed to emanate from the very stone itself. A single, crimson thread lay coiled on the altar, pulsing with an unnatural light, a living thing that seemed to breathe in the darkness. Chapter 3: The Unraveling Truth. Elara, drawn by an irresistible curiosity, reached for the thread, her fingers outstretched. But a sudden gust of wind, cold and sharp, extinguished her flashlight, plunging the chamber into absolute darkness. A cold, clammy hand, its grip like ice, grasped her arm, stopping her in her tracks. "Leave it, detective," Seraphina's voice whispered in the darkness, her tone urgent and pleading. "It is not for you." Elara wrenched her arm free, her heart pounding in her chest like a trapped bird. "What is it?" she demanded, her voice sharp and defiant. "What is this place?" "It is the Crimson Thread," Seraphina replied, her voice filled with ancient sorrow, a weight that seemed to bend her with its burden. "The tether that binds the creature to this world, the link that keeps it anchored to our reality." Seraphina, her voice trembling with emotion, revealed her secret. She was not merely Valerius's companion, but a guardian, a protector bound by an ancient oath to defend Blackwood Veil from the entity known as the Crimson Thread. Centuries ago, a powerful vampire, consumed by bloodlust and madness, had been imprisoned beneath the manor, his power too great to destroy. The Crimson Thread was his tether, his link to the mortal realm, the source of his enduring power. Valerius, in his reckless pursuit of arcane knowledge, had disturbed the creature's slumber, weakening the seals that held it captive. Now, it was free, or at least, its influence was, feeding on the life force of the townspeople, growing stronger with each victim. Elara, initially skeptical, was forced to confront the impossible. The evidence was undeniable: the puncture wounds, the unnatural pallor of the victims, the eerie silence of the manor, the strange symbols in the cellar, the pulsing crimson thread. It all pointed to a supernatural predator, a creature of legend that had somehow found its way into their world. Together, Elara and Seraphina ventured into the darkest corners of Blackwood Veil, following the trail of the crimson thread, its presence a dark stain on the town's already shadowed landscape. They discovered the creature's lair, a hidden network of tunnels beneath the town, a labyrinth of darkness where it lurked, waiting for its next victim, its eyes burning with malevolent hunger. The final confrontation was a dance of shadows and steel, a battle between the mortal and the supernatural. Elara, armed with her service pistol and a fierce determination, faced the creature, its form shifting and swirling in the shadows, its eyes burning with an unholy light. Seraphina, her voice resonating with ancient power, wielded magic that crackled and sparked, weaving spells that sought to sever the crimson thread, to banish the creature back to its prison. The creature, a vortex of darkness and rage, lunged at Elara, its claws extended, its teeth bared. Elara fired her pistol, the bullets tearing through the shadows, but the creature seemed impervious to mortal weapons. Seraphina, her face pale and strained, unleashed a barrage of magical energy, a torrent of light that struck the creature, causing it to recoil with a hiss of pain. The battle raged through the tunnels, the air thick with the scent of ozone and the echoes of ancient power. Elara, using her tactical skills and her years of experience on the streets, maneuvered through the darkness, dodging the creature's attacks and firing her pistol at every opportunity. Seraphina, her voice growing hoarse, continued to weave her spells, her hands moving with a fluid grace, her magic a shimmering shield against the creature's onslaught. In the end, it was a combination of Elara's grit and Seraphina's power that prevailed. Elara, seizing an opportunity, fired a silver bullet, a relic from her grandfather's collection, into the creature's heart, a vulnerable spot revealed by Seraphina's magic. At the same time, Seraphina, with a final surge of energy, severed the crimson thread, the tether that bound the creature to their world. The creature let out a deafening shriek, its form dissolving into a cloud of black smoke. The crimson thread, its light extinguished, crumbled into dust. Blackwood Veil was freed from its ancient curse, the darkness banished, at least for now. As the first rays of dawn pierced the fog, casting a pale light over the town, Elara stood beside Seraphina, watching the shadows retreat, their forms shrinking and fading like phantoms. The town, once shrouded in fear and dread, began to stir, the silence broken by the sound of birdsong, a melody of hope that seemed to fill the air. The mystery was solved, the darkness dispelled. But Elara knew that the shadows held secrets that would forever linger in the corners of her mind. Blackwood Veil had shown her that the line between reality and myth was thinner than she had ever imagined. And that sometimes, the monsters were real, lurking in the shadows, waiting for their moment to strike. Chapter 4: The Lingering Echoes. The immediate aftermath of the Crimson Thread's banishment was a strange mix of relief and unease. Blackwood Veil, though freed from the immediate threat, bore the deep scars of its recent terror. The townsfolk, once whispering in fear and hiding behind locked doors, now murmured in hushed awe of the miracle that had saved them, their voices filled with a mixture of gratitude and lingering fear. Elara, however, couldn't shake the feeling that the silence was temporary, a mere pause before the next discordant note in the town's dark symphony. Seraphina, her ethereal beauty tinged with weariness, her silver eyes reflecting the weight of centuries, remained in the manor, a silent guardian against the encroaching darkness. She explained that the seals holding the creature's prison were weakened, not broken, a fact that sent a chill down Elara's spine. The crimson thread, though severed, could potentially be rewoven, a chilling prospect that left Elara with a gnawing sense of unfinished business, a feeling that the danger was far from over. The official report, after much deliberation and some creative writing, attributed the deaths to a wild animal attack, a vague explanation that satisfied the bureaucratic minds of the city, but did little to ease Elara's concerns. The city's records, meticulously kept, now included a cryptic entry: unidentified predator, Blackwood Veil. Resolved. But Elara knew the truth, a secret she would carry with her, a burden that weighed heavily on her soul. Days turned into weeks, and the town began to return to a semblance of normalcy. The fog, though still prevalent, seemed less oppressive, and the shadows held less menace, their whispers less menacing. Elara, however, found herself drawn back to Blackwood Veil, a silent sentinel guarding against the darkness, her visits to the manor becoming a regular occurrence. She felt a connection to the town, a sense of responsibility to protect it from the lurking shadows. One evening, as the twilight deepened, casting long, eerie shadows across the manor grounds, Elara found Seraphina in the library, surrounded by ancient tomes, their pages filled with cryptic symbols and forgotten lore. The woman's silver eyes were troubled, her brow furrowed in concentration, her face etched with worry. "The seals are weakening," Seraphina said, her voice barely a whisper, her gaze fixed on a worn parchment, its surface covered in intricate diagrams. "I can feel it. The creature, it stirs." Elara's heart sank. She knew this was coming, but the reality of it still felt like a punch to the gut, a cold reminder that their victory was temporary. "What can we do?" she asked, her voice filled with a sense of urgency. "We must strengthen the seals," Seraphina replied, her gaze fixed on the parchment. "There are rituals, ancient incantations, that can reinforce the barriers. But they require a powerful anchor, a focal point, something that resonates with the energy of the seals." "What kind of anchor?" Elara asked, her mind racing, trying to grasp the implications of Seraphina's words. "A relic of significant power," Seraphina explained, her voice filled with ancient wisdom. "Something that can bind the essence of the creature, a focal point for the ritual, a conduit for the ancient energies." Their search led them to the Blackwood family crypt, a subterranean chamber filled with the tombs of generations past, a place that smelled of damp earth and forgotten memories. Among the ornate sarcophagi, they found a hidden chamber, a vault containing the family's most prized possessions, relics of power and ancient magic. Within the vault, nestled amongst jeweled daggers and ancient amulets, lay a silver locket, its surface etched with intricate symbols, its design both elegant and unsettling. Seraphina's eyes widened, her breath catching in her throat. "The heart of Blackwood," she whispered, her voice filled with awe and reverence. It was said to hold a fragment of the family's life force, a powerful conduit of energy, a relic of immense power. The locket, however, was not merely an artifact. It pulsed with a faint, ethereal light, a resonance that seemed to echo the very walls of the crypt, a living thing that breathed in the darkness. It was the anchor they needed, the key to strengthening the seals, the hope against the encroaching darkness. Chapter 5: The Reawakening. The ritual was performed under the cold, watchful gaze of the full moon, its silvery light casting long, distorted shadows across the grounds of Blackwood Manor. The ancient cellar, a place of damp stone and forgotten secrets, became the stage for their desperate endeavor. Seraphina, her voice resonating with the power of ages, began to chant the incantations, her words a tapestry of forgotten languages, her hands weaving intricate patterns in the air, each gesture imbued with ancient magic. Elara, holding the heart of Blackwood, felt a surge of energy, a connection to the ancient seals that bound the creature, a sense of responsibility that weighed heavily on her shoulders. The cellar walls shimmered, the air crackled with power, the very stones seeming to vibrate with the force of the ritual. The creature, sensing the strengthening of its prison, thrashed against its bonds, its presence a dark, suffocating pressure that filled the cellar, a wave of malevolence that threatened to overwhelm them. The crimson thread, attempting to reform, flickered like a dying flame, a desperate attempt to cling to existence. The ritual reached its climax, the energy coalescing around the heart of Blackwood, a vortex of power that pulsed with an ethereal light, reinforcing the seals with a surge of pure, unadulterated power. The creature's thrashing subsided, its presence fading into a distant echo, a whisper of malevolence that receded into the depths of its prison. The crimson thread, its light extinguished, dissolved into nothingness, its essence scattered like dust in the wind. The silence that followed was profound, a stillness that resonated with the weight of ancient power, a sense of peace that settled over the cellar like a gentle balm. Elara, her body trembling with exhaustion, her mind reeling from the intensity of the ritual, felt a sense of profound relief, a wave of gratitude that washed over her. Seraphina, her face pale but resolute, her silver eyes filled with a quiet satisfaction, nodded in approval. "The seals are strengthened," she said, her voice hoarse but firm, her gaze fixed on the heart of Blackwood, its light now pulsing with a steady, reassuring rhythm. "For now, the creature is contained." But the relief was tempered by a lingering unease, a sense of foreboding that settled in Elara's gut like a cold stone. She knew that the fight was not over, that the creature's hunger, its thirst for life, would never truly be extinguished. It would wait, biding its time, searching for a weakness in the seals, a crack in their defenses. As Elara prepared to leave Blackwood Veil, the first rays of dawn painting the sky with hues of grey and pink, she looked back at the imposing manor, its silhouette a stark contrast against the twilight sky, a symbol of the town's dark history. She knew that she would return, that she would stand guard against the darkness, a sentinel in the shadows, her vigilance a testament to the enduring struggle against the forces of evil. The echoes of the crimson thread would forever linger in her mind, a reminder of the ancient battles fought in the heart of Blackwood Veil and the ongoing struggle against the creatures that lurked in the darkness. The mystery was not solved, only paused, awaiting the next unraveling, the next challenge to their fragile peace. Chapter 6: The Whispers of the Bloodline. Years passed, each season painting Blackwood Veil with its own unique palette of shadows and light. The town, though still shrouded in its perpetual twilight, found a fragile peace, a semblance of normalcy that masked the underlying tension. The townsfolk, their memories fading with time, spoke of their old legends with a mixture of fear and fascination, their voices hushed, their eyes filled with a lingering dread. Elara Vance, now a seasoned detective with a reputation for handling the unusual, continued her vigil, her visits to the manor a regular occurrence, her connection to Seraphina and the town growing stronger with each passing year. Seraphina, her ancient eyes reflecting the weight of centuries, remained the manor's guardian, her connection to the seals a constant, vigilant watch. The heart of Blackwood, now a focal point of the strengthened barriers, pulsed with a faint, reassuring light, a beacon against the encroaching darkness. Elara, through her continued research and Seraphina's ancient knowledge, learned to understand the nuances of the seals, the subtle shifts in their energy, the whispers of the imprisoned creature. However, the shadows held secrets that even time could not erase, echoes of the past that refused to be silenced. A new threat emerged, not from the creature imprisoned beneath the manor, but from the very bloodline that had birthed it, a dark legacy that threatened to consume them all. A series of strange occurrences began to plague Blackwood Veil, a chilling reminder of the town's dark past. Livestock was found drained, their bodies bearing the telltale puncture wounds, their bloodless carcasses a macabre testament to the predator's hunger. Whispers of a new predator echoed through the town, a chilling reminder of the old legends, a fear that settled in the hearts of the townsfolk like a cold, heavy stone. Elara, her instincts screaming danger, returned to Blackwood Veil, her arrival coinciding with the discovery of a human victim, a young woman found lifeless in the woods, her skin drained of color, her body bearing the unmistakable marks of the creature's feeding. The town, once again, was gripped by fear, its fragile peace shattered, its shadows filled with a renewed sense of menace. The investigation led Elara to the Blackwood family genealogy, a sprawling document that traced the bloodline back centuries, its pages filled with names and dates, a testament to the family's long and storied history. Among the names and dates, she found a disturbing pattern. A recurring lineage of individuals marked by a strange, almost unnatural pallor, a subtle hint of the creature's influence, a dark stain on the family's bloodline. One name stood out, Lucian Blackwood, a distant relative who had recently returned to Blackwood Veil after years of wandering, his past shrouded in mystery. He was reclusive, enigmatic, and possessed an unsettling charm that sent shivers down Elara's spine, a sense of unease that settled in her gut like a warning. Lucian, it turned out, was not merely a distant relative. He was a descendant of a branch of the Blackwood family that had embraced the creature's dark influence, a bloodline tainted by its essence, a legacy of corruption that had festered for generations. He was, in essence, a dormant echo of the imprisoned vampire, a vessel waiting to be filled, a puppet manipulated by the creature's dark will. Seraphina, her eyes filled with ancient sorrow, confirmed Elara's suspicions. Lucian was a kinblood, a mortal touched by the creature's power, capable of wielding its dark gifts, a conduit for its malevolent influence. He was feeding on the townspeople, drawing strength from their life force, preparing to break the seals and free the imprisoned vampire, his actions a prelude to the creature's reawakening. Chapter 7: The Kinblood's Gambit. Lucian, aware of Elara's investigation and her growing suspicion, began to play a dangerous game of cat and mouse, his actions a calculated dance between hunter and prey. He taunted her with cryptic messages, leaving behind clues that led her deeper into the labyrinth of his dark intentions, each step a carefully orchestrated move in his twisted game. He sought the heart of Blackwood, the artifact that held the seals in place, the key to the creature's freedom. With the heart in his possession, he could weaken the barriers and unleash the creature's full power, plunging Blackwood Veil into an eternal darkness. Elara and Seraphina, realizing the urgency of the situation and the immense danger they faced, prepared for a confrontation, their resolve tempered by a sense of foreboding. They knew that Lucian was not merely a pawn, he was a formidable adversary, a kinblood capable of wielding the creature's dark magic, his power a reflection of the ancient evil that lurked beneath the manor. The confrontation took place in the heart of the Blackwood family crypt, the ancient chamber where the heart of Blackwood was housed, a place steeped in history and imbued with the echoes of ancient magic. Lucian, his eyes glowing with malevolent energy, his face contorted in a cruel smile, stood before the altar, his hand outstretched towards the locket, his presence a dark stain on the sanctity of the crypt. "The power is mine," he hissed, his voice echoing through the chamber, a sound that seemed to chill the very air. "The bloodline will rise again, and Blackwood Veil will tremble before its rightful master." Elara, her pistol drawn, her hand steady, fired a warning shot, the bullet ricocheting off the stone floor, but Lucian deflected the projectile with a wave of his hand, his power a tangible force. Seraphina, her voice resonating with ancient power, unleashed a barrage of magical energy, a torrent of light that struck Lucian, but he countered with a dark shield, his magic a mirror image of her own, a reflection of the ancient power that coursed through his veins. The battle raged through the crypt, the air thick with the scent of ozone and the echoes of ancient magic, a clash between light and darkness that threatened to tear the very fabric of reality. Elara, using her tactical skills and her years of experience on the streets, managed to land a few blows, but Lucian's supernatural strength and speed proved a formidable challenge, his movements a blur, his attacks relentless. Seraphina, her energy waning, her face pale and strained, managed to weaken Lucian's shield, creating an opening for Elara. She lunged forward, her movements swift and decisive, grabbing the heart of Blackwood, and held it aloft, its light pulsing with a surge of pure energy. The locket pulsed with a surge of pure energy, banishing Lucian's dark influence and weakening his connection to the creature, severing the ties that bound him to the ancient evil. He screamed in agony, his body writhing in the purifying light, his power fading like a dying ember. Chapter 8: The Enduring Watch. Lucian, his power stripped away, his body drained of the dark energy that had sustained him, collapsed into a lifeless husk, his body a mere shell, his spirit extinguished. The threat was neutralized, the kinblood's gambit thwarted, the darkness pushed back into the shadows. The heart of Blackwood, its light dimmed but still pulsing, was returned to its place on the altar, reinforcing the seals that held the creature captive, its power a bulwark against the encroaching darkness. Seraphina, her ancient eyes filled with relief, her face etched with weariness, nodded in satisfaction, her shoulders slumping with exhaustion. "The bloodline is cleansed," she said, her voice filled with a mixture of relief and sorrow. "For now, the darkness is contained, but the echoes of its presence will forever linger in the blood." Elara, her body aching, her mind reeling from the supernatural onslaught, knew that the fight was far from over, that their victory was only a temporary reprieve. The creature, though imprisoned, would continue to seek a way to break free, its malevolence a constant presence, a shadow that stretched across the centuries. The shadows would continue to whisper, and the bloodline would continue to carry the echoes of its dark past, a legacy of corruption that would forever haunt Blackwood Veil. As she left Blackwood Veil, the twilight deepening around her, casting long, eerie shadows across the landscape, Elara knew that she would return. She was a sentinel in the shadows, a guardian against the darkness, her vigilance an enduring testament to the ancient battles fought in the heart of Blackwood Veil, her resolve strengthened by the knowledge that the fight against evil was a never-ending struggle. The mystery was not solved, but it was held at bay, the enduring watch against the monsters that lurked in the twilight continuing, a silent promise whispered on the wind. Chapter 9: The Forged Covenant. The years following Lucian's demise were marked by an uneasy calm in Blackwood Veil, a deceptive tranquility that masked the simmering tension beneath the surface, a fragile peace built on a foundation of vigilance and sacrifice. Elara, now a seasoned veteran of the arcane, found herself increasingly drawn to the town, her connection to Seraphina and the manor deepening with each passing year. The two women, bound by their shared experience and a mutual respect that transcended their different backgrounds, forged an unlikely alliance, a covenant against the encroaching darkness, their bond a testament to the power of unity in the face of overwhelming evil. The heart of Blackwood, now a symbol of their shared responsibility, pulsed with a steady, reassuring rhythm, a beacon against the shadows, its light a constant reminder of the burden they carried. Elara, through her continued research and Seraphina's ancient knowledge, learned to understand the nuances of the seals, the subtle shifts in their energy, the whispers of the imprisoned creature, her understanding of the supernatural world growing with each passing day. They discovered that the seals were not merely a physical barrier, but a complex tapestry of interwoven energies, a delicate balance that required constant vigilance, a living thing that breathed and shifted with the ebb and flow of magical power. They learned to anticipate the creature's attempts to weaken the bonds, to sense the subtle tremors in the fabric of reality, to recognize the signs of its growing restlessness. One particularly harsh winter, a series of strange storms battered Blackwood Veil, the wind howling like a tormented spirit, the rain lashing against the manor windows with relentless fury, the elements mirroring the turmoil that stirred beneath the surface. Seraphina, her face etched with worry, her silver eyes filled with a growing dread, sensed a disturbance, a ripple in the fabric of the seals, a tremor that shook the very foundations of the manor. "The storms, they are not natural," she said, her voice strained, her gaze fixed on the raging tempest outside. "The creature is using the chaos, the disruption, to weaken the barriers, its malevolence a tangible force in the storm." Elara, her instincts screaming danger, felt a prickle of unease, a sense of foreboding that settled in her gut like a cold stone. The storms, though seemingly random, were too precise, too focused on Blackwood Veil, their fury a deliberate assault, a calculated attempt to exploit the town's vulnerability. They discovered that the creature was manipulating the ley lines, the invisible pathways of energy that crisscrossed the earth, using them to amplify the storms and destabilize the seals, its power reaching out from its prison, its influence a dark stain on the natural world. The heart of Blackwood, though still pulsing with power, was struggling to maintain the balance, its light flickering like a candle in a hurricane. Chapter 10: The Storm's Fury. The tempest raged, a symphony of destruction orchestrated by the imprisoned creature's malevolent will. The wind, a howling banshee, tore at the manor's ancient stone, rattling the leaded windows like skeletal fingers. Rain lashed against the walls, a relentless assault that threatened to erode the very foundations of the building. Inside, the power grid, a fragile thread of modernity, flickered and died, plunging the manor into an oppressive darkness. The only source of illumination was the heart of Blackwood, its ethereal glow pulsing erratically, like a dying ember struggling against a suffocating darkness. Each flicker was a desperate gasp, a testament to the strain the artifact endured. Elara and Seraphina, their faces grim, their resolve hardened by years of battling the supernatural, prepared to confront the storm's source. They were armed not with conventional weapons, but with their combined knowledge and unwavering determination. Elara, her pistol holstered but within easy reach, relied on her tactical instincts and street-honed survival skills. Seraphina, her ancient eyes glowing with an inner light, prepared to wield her magic, a force as old as the earth itself. They ventured into the heart of the storm, their footsteps echoing in the wind's mournful cries, seeking to disrupt the creature's insidious manipulation of the ley lines. They followed the path of the storm, tracing the chaotic energy back to its source, a hidden convergence point deep within the Blackwood forest, a place where the veil between worlds thinned and the creature's influence was strongest. The forest, once a haven of serene beauty, was now a nightmarish landscape. Towering trees, their branches twisted and gnarled, swayed wildly, their leaves whipping through the air like razor-sharp blades. The ground, slick with mud and debris, was a treacherous obstacle course, each step a precarious gamble. The air crackled with raw energy, the scent of ozone thick and acrid, a tangible manifestation of the supernatural forces at play. The storm's fury intensified as they ventured deeper, the wind howling with increasing ferocity, the rain stinging their faces like icy needles. The forest seemed to writhe and convulse, as if the very trees themselves were resisting their intrusion. They reached the convergence point, a desolate clearing bathed in an eerie, phosphorescent glow, a sickly light that emanated from the very earth. The ley lines, normally invisible to the human eye, were now visible as shimmering ribbons of energy, their colors swirling and shifting like a chaotic aurora. They converged on a single point in the center of the clearing, a pulsating nexus of dark energy, the epicenter of the creature's manipulation. The clearing felt charged, a place where the barrier between worlds was fragile, where the creature's influence was at its zenith. The creature's presence was palpable, a dark, suffocating pressure that weighed heavily on the air, a malevolent force that threatened to crush their spirits. It was a tangible sense of dread, a chilling reminder of the ancient evil they faced. Elara, her senses heightened, her heart pounding in her chest, drew her pistol, the cold steel a reassuring presence in her hand. A primal instinct to fight, to protect, to survive, surged through her veins, a warrior's spirit awakened. Seraphina, her voice resonating with ancient power, began to weave a counterspell, a ritual to disrupt the creature's manipulation of the ley lines, to sever its connection to the storm. Her words, spoken in a forgotten tongue, were a rhythmic chant, each syllable imbued with magical energy. Her hands moved in intricate patterns, weaving spells of protection and disruption, a dance of ancient magic against the forces of darkness. The air crackled with magical energy, a visible manifestation of the battle of wills between ancient forces, the clash of light and shadow. The creature, sensing the threat to its power, unleashed a surge of dark energy, a wave of raw power that slammed into Elara and Seraphina like a physical blow. Elara was thrown back, her body slamming against the trunk of a gnarled oak, the impact jarring her senses. Seraphina, her magical shield faltering under the force of the attack, staggered, her face contorted in pain. The dark energy felt like a physical assault, a crushing weight that threatened to extinguish their very life force. The heart of Blackwood, its light flickering wildly, pulsed with a desperate surge of energy, a final, defiant attempt to maintain the balance, to protect its guardians. The clearing was a whirlwind of chaotic energy, a battleground where ancient forces clashed. Elara, her body aching, her mind reeling from the impact, managed to regain her footing, her determination fueled by a fierce refusal to surrender. She aimed her pistol at the convergence point, the source of the creature's power, her hand trembling but her aim steady. She fired, the silver bullet, a relic of her grandfather's, striking the point of convergence, disrupting the flow of energy. The ley lines shimmered and flickered, their connection to the creature severed, their chaotic energy dissipating like smoke. The storm's fury began to subside, the wind's mournful cries softening, the rain easing to a gentle drizzle. The clearing, once a chaotic vortex, began to settle, the phosphorescent glow fading, the air clearing of the oppressive darkness. The creature's influence receded, its power diminished, its attempt to break the seals thwarted, at least for now. Chapter 11: The Shattered Mirror. A period of relative tranquility, a deceptive calm that belied the simmering tension beneath the surface, settled over Blackwood Veil. The townsfolk, lulled into a false sense of security, began to relax their guard, their memories of the recent horrors fading with each passing day. Elara, however, though finding a semblance of peace in her shared vigil with Seraphina, remained acutely aware of the creature's persistent presence. The whispers in the shadows, though fainter, never truly ceased, a constant reminder of the ancient evil that lurked beneath the manor. The fragile peace felt like a thin layer of ice over a dark, frigid lake. One crisp autumn evening, as the leaves turned to vibrant hues of red and gold, a traveling carnival arrived in Blackwood Veil, a vibrant spectacle of lights and music that seemed a stark, almost jarring, contrast to the town's usual somber atmosphere. The air filled with the sounds of laughter, the smell of popcorn and cotton candy, a sensory overload that was both enticing and unsettling. Among the attractions was a hall of mirrors, a labyrinth of distorted reflections that drew curious townsfolk, their faces alight with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. Elara, instinctively wary of anything that disrupted the town's usual routine, anything that could potentially upset the delicate balance, found herself drawn to the carnival. The bright lights and boisterous sounds felt like a mask, concealing something darker beneath the surface. The Hall of Mirrors, in particular, sent a shiver down her spine, an inexplicable feeling of unease that settled in her gut like a cold stone. There was something unsettling, almost predatory, about the way the reflections shifted and distorted, a sense of unseen eyes watching from the depths of the glass, a feeling of being observed by something not of this world. That night, a series of strange occurrences, subtle at first but escalating in their intensity, began to plague the carnival, casting a pall over the festive atmosphere. Performers reported seeing their reflections move independently, mimicking their actions with a disturbing delay, whispering their darkest fears in mocking tones, their voices a chilling echo of their own. A fortune teller, her eyes wide with terror, claimed to see glimpses of a shadowy figure lurking within the mirrors, its eyes burning with malevolent hunger, its form shifting and swirling like smoke. The laughter faded, replaced by hushed whispers and nervous glances, the carnival's joyful facade crumbling under the weight of growing dread. Elara, sensing a connection to the creature's influence, her instincts screaming danger, investigated the Hall of Mirrors, her senses on high alert. The air inside the labyrinth felt cold, heavy, charged with an unnatural energy. She discovered that the mirrors were not ordinary glass, they were imbued with a strange, dark energy, a resonance that echoed the creature's presence, a subtle vibration that resonated with the darkness in her own soul. The reflections felt alive, sentient, their distorted forms a mockery of reality. Seraphina, summoned to the carnival, her ancient eyes filled with concern, examined the mirrors, her touch gentle but firm. She revealed a disturbing truth, her voice barely a whisper, her words carrying the weight of centuries of knowledge. The creature was attempting to use the mirrors as a conduit, a way to project its consciousness into the mortal realm, to extend its influence beyond the confines of its prison. The distorted reflections were not mere illusions, tricks of the light. They were glimpses of the creature's fragmented consciousness, its scattered thoughts and desires, its desperate attempts to break free from its prison, to shatter the barriers that held it captive. The mirrors were a bridge, a fragile connection between worlds, a doorway for the creature to unleash its malevolence upon Blackwood Veil once more. Chapter 12: Reflections of Terror. The creature, with its ancient understanding of the human psyche, was exploiting the inherent vulnerability of reflections, the way they mirrored reality but also subtly distorted it, creating an unsettling uncanny valley effect. It was using the mirrors to create a fractured version of itself, a shadow self, a composite of its darkest desires and fears, that could manipulate the perceptions of those who gazed into them, twisting their thoughts and emotions like a puppeteer pulling strings. The reflections weren't just images, they were psychic tendrils, reaching out to infiltrate the minds of the townsfolk. The carnival, once a beacon of fleeting joy, a temporary escape from the town's perpetual twilight, became a breeding ground for fear and paranoia. The townsfolk, their minds clouded by the creature's insidious influence, their perceptions warped by the distorted reflections, began to turn on each other, their suspicions amplified, their anxieties magnified to unbearable levels. Friendly faces became masks of hidden malice, whispered conversations became accusations of treachery, and the bonds of community began to fray and unravel. The carnival's vibrant facade crumbled, revealing the dark undercurrent of fear that had always lurked beneath the surface of Blackwood Veil. Elara and Seraphina, realizing the urgency of the situation, the imminent danger of the town succumbing to the creature's psychological warfare, sought to destroy the mirrors, to sever the creature's connection to the mortal realm, to shatter the psychic bridge it had built. But the mirrors were not easily broken. They were imbued with a dark resilience, a resistance to physical force, their surfaces as hard as obsidian, their reflections shimmering with an unnatural strength. Hammers shattered against them, bullets ricocheted harmlessly, and even Seraphina's magic proved ineffective against their dark resilience. They discovered, through Seraphina's ancient knowledge of mirror magic, that the mirrors were connected to a central focal point, a large, ornate mirror at the heart of the labyrinth, a nexus of dark energy that pulsed with the creature's malevolent presence. Destroying this mirror would shatter the creature's connection, disrupt its psychic influence, but it would also require a significant surge of energy, a force capable of breaking the dark enchantment that held them together. Elara, remembering the immense power of the Heart of Blackwood, the artifact that had strengthened the seals and banished the creature before, proposed using it as a conduit to channel the necessary energy, to unleash a surge of light that could shatter the darkness. Seraphina, though hesitant to risk the artifact, aware of the delicate balance it maintained, agreed that it was their only option, a desperate gamble against overwhelming odds. They ventured into the heart of the Hall of Mirrors, the labyrinth of distorted reflections swirling around them, whispering their deepest fears, their voices a cacophony of anxieties and doubts. The creature's presence was overwhelming, a suffocating pressure that threatened to consume them, to drown them in a sea of despair. The reflections seemed to move independently, their distorted forms mimicking their movements, mocking their fears, their eyes glowing with a malevolent light. The air thrummed with a dark energy, a palpable sense of dread that pressed against their minds, testing their resolve. They reached the central mirror, its surface shimmering with dark energy, a swirling vortex of shadows and light that pulsed with the creature's malevolent presence. The mirror felt alive, sentient, its surface a window into the creature's fractured consciousness, its depths a swirling abyss of darkness. Elara, holding the Heart of Blackwood, felt a surge of power, a connection to the ancient seals that bound the creature, a resonance that echoed through her very soul. The locket pulsed with light, ready to be unleashed. Chapter 13. The Breaking of the Glass. Seraphina, her ancient eyes glowing with a renewed intensity, raised her hands, her voice resonating with the power of ages. She began to chant an incantation, her words a rhythmic cadence that echoed through the shattered silence of the hall. The air around the central mirror shimmered and crackled, the energy of the Heart of Blackwood flowing through Seraphina, channeled into the fractured surface of the glass. The mirror, already riddled with cracks, pulsed with dark energy, the creature's fragmented consciousness recoiling from the surge of pure light. The reflections in the surrounding mirrors, no longer held in thrall by the central nexus, began to shatter and dissolve, their whispers fading into a cacophony of broken glass, a symphony of destruction that echoed through the carnival grounds. The creature, its connection to the mortal realm severed, unleashed a final surge of dark energy, a desperate, frantic attempt to maintain its hold, to anchor its essence to the fragile reality of the mirrors. The air grew thick with a palpable sense of malevolence, a wave of raw power that threatened to overwhelm them. Elara, her senses heightened, her pistol gripped tightly in her hand, felt a surge of adrenaline, a primal instinct to protect, to defend. She aimed her pistol at the cracked surface of the central mirror, her eyes fixed on the swirling vortex of darkness within. With a steady hand and unwavering resolve, she fired, the silver bullet striking the mirror's surface, shattering it into 1,000 glittering pieces. The Hall of Mirrors erupted in a blinding flash of light, a supernova of pure energy that banished the lingering shadows and dispelled the oppressive darkness. The dark energy, the creature's fractured consciousness, dissipated into thin air, like smoke in a sudden gust of wind. The creature's presence, once a suffocating weight, vanished, leaving behind a sense of profound relief, a feeling of liberation that washed over them like a cleansing wave. The carnival, once a source of fear and paranoia, returned to its normal state, the illusions dispelled, the whispers silenced. The distorted reflections vanished, replaced by the familiar, comforting images of the townsfolk. The air cleared, the oppressive atmosphere lifted, and the sense of dread that had permeated the carnival grounds dissipated like morning mist. The townsfolk, their minds cleared of the creature's influence, returned to their senses, their paranoia replaced by a sense of relief, a feeling of gratitude for their deliverance. Elara and Seraphina, their bodies weary, their spirits resolute, stood amidst the shattered glass, their gazes fixed on the remnants of the central mirror, a testament to the battle they had fought and won. They had faced the creature's attempt to manipulate reality, to shatter the boundaries between the mortal and the supernatural, and they had prevailed, their courage and determination a shield against the encroaching darkness. As the first rays of dawn illuminated the remnants of the carnival, Casting long, ethereal shadows across the shattered glass, Elara knew that their watch was far from over. The creature, though defeated, would continue to seek a way to break free, its malevolence a constant threat, its hunger a never-ending desire. The shadows would continue to whisper, their voices carrying the echoes of the town's dark past, a reminder of the battles fought and the sacrifices made. The bloodline, a conduit for the creature's influence, would continue to carry the echoes of its dark legacy, a potential threat that lurked within the very heart of Blackwood Veil. But Elara and Seraphina, bound by their shared vigilance, their resolve unwavering, their covenant unbreakable, would stand guard, their unwavering commitment a beacon of hope in the perpetual twilight. The mystery of Blackwood Veil, though never fully solved, would be held at bay, their enduring watch a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, the enduring power of hope, and the unwavering courage that could illuminate even the darkest shadows. Epilogue: The Enduring Twilight. The tale of Blackwood Veil is not one of definitive endings, but of cyclical struggles and enduring vigilance, a testament to the ongoing battle between light and darkness. The victories won against the Crimson Thread and its insidious influence were not permanent solutions, but hard-fought respites in an ongoing war against the encroaching darkness, temporary lulls in a never-ending storm. Elara Vance, forever changed by her experiences, her life irrevocably intertwined with the fate of Blackwood Veil, became a guardian in her own right, a sentinel in the shadows. She learned to navigate the liminal spaces between the mundane and the supernatural, her senses sharpened, her resolve tempered in the fires of ancient conflict. She understood that true strength lay not in vanquishing the darkness entirely, but in standing firm against its relentless tide, in holding the line against the forces that sought to consume them. Seraphina, the ancient guardian, remained the heart of the manor, her wisdom and power a constant beacon in the twilight, a source of guidance and strength. She understood that the creature's imprisonment was a delicate balance, a fragile truce that required constant maintenance, a responsibility that she carried with unwavering dedication. The heart of Blackwood, pulsing with its ethereal light, served as a constant reminder of the burden they shared, a symbol of their shared vigilance and unwavering commitment. The town of Blackwood Veil, though forever marked by its dark history, learned to coexist with the shadows, to accept the presence of the unknown within their midst. The whispers of the old legends became a part of their folklore, a cautionary tale passed down through generations, a reminder of the dangers that lurked in the shadows. They learned to respect the boundaries between the known and the unknown, to tread carefully in the twilight, to live with the knowledge that the darkness was always present, lurking just beyond the edge of their perception. The creature, forever bound to its prison beneath the manor, remained a constant threat, a malevolent presence that pulsed beneath the surface of reality, a dark undercurrent that flowed through the town's history. It waited, biding its time, searching for a weakness in the seals, a crack in the armor of their vigilance, its patience as endless as its malice. And so, the watch continued. Elara and Seraphina, bound by their forged covenant, their lives intertwined, stood as sentinels in the shadows, their eyes fixed on the horizon, their hearts filled with unwavering resolve. They knew that the darkness would never truly be extinguished, that the echoes of the Crimson Thread would forever linger in the air, a constant reminder of the ancient evil they faced. But they also knew that hope could bloom in the darkest of places, that courage could shine in the deepest of shadows, that even in the face of overwhelming darkness, the human spirit could endure. They understood that the true battle was not against the creature itself, but against the fear and despair that it sought to sow, against the insidious whispers that sought to corrupt their hearts. The story of Blackwood Veil is a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit, the resilience of hope in the face of overwhelming darkness, a reminder that even in the deepest twilight, there is always a glimmer of light, a spark of defiance that can illuminate the shadows and hold back the night. The mystery may never be fully solved, but the fight, the enduring watch, would continue, a silent promise whispered on the wind, a ballad of courage echoing through the perpetual twilight of Blackwood Veil. Thank you for listening. This has been a novelette by Brian E. Niskola. Narrated by Elise Reinhoff. Copyright 2025. CompuTrader Publishing.